For the past half a century, an ancient army of warriors has been quietly conquering the world. Wherever small battalions of China's famous terracotta warriors are exhibited, they win over a new legion of fans.
What if I told you AI now uncovers centuries-old secrets? Sounds fictional, right? But it's reality. For over 2,000 years, the silent warriors buried in Xi'an have stood guard, captivating archaeologists and historians. However, in recent weeks, advanced AI scans have pierced the surface, exposing details that no excavation had revealed. What the algorithms found left experts, critics, and scientists worldwide stunned. With these revelations in mind, we must ask, might this new development rewrite what we thought we knew about China's first emperor and his army? Before we get to the answers, let's start by exploring what exactly the AI saw that has left experts speechless. The Terracotta Army. Before we delve into what AI has uncovered, let's understand what the Terracotta Army truly is and why it continues to captivate the world. Picture this. It's 1974, a group of farmers in Xi'an, China, digging a simple well. They expected water, but instead, their shovels struck something that would shock the entire archaeological world. Rising out of the soil were fragments of life-sized clay figures, pieces of armor, and even broken weapons. What they had stumbled upon wasn't just pottery. It was the gateway to one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of the 20th century, the Terracotta Army. And today, decades later, these warriors have just been scanned by AI, leaving experts speechless. Now, let's rewind 2,000 years to see why this hidden army even existed in the first place. In the 3rd century BCE, China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, was determined to rule not just the living, but also the afterlife. He unified warring states, built the first version of the Great Wall, and commanded an empire that stretched farther than anything China had seen before. But even with that kind of power, he feared death. He ordered the creation of an underground army, an army not of flesh and blood, but of clay, just as a preparation. Imagine that. And that's not all. Those thousands of warriors, each sculpted with its own unique touch, were buried near his massive tomb, and their purpose was clear: to protect him for eternity. But what's remarkable is not just their scale, but their detail. I'm talking about soldiers standing nearly 6 feet tall, with real bronze weapons, hairstyles, facial features, and even traces of vibrant paint that once made them appear lifelike. This wasn't a small ensemble. Archaeologists estimate that around 8,000 soldiers, along with hundreds of chariots and horses, were placed in massive pits, standing in strict military formation. Each warrior feels less like a statue and more like a person frozen in time, staring silently across centuries. Sounds like a waste of archaeological gold, if you ask me. Since that first accidental discovery, the excavation has revealed generals, archers, cavalrymen, and even life-sized chariots with intricate designs. Recently, archaeologists uncovered a rare figure of a general, marked by his elaborate armor and commanding pose, which added another layer to our understanding of Qin Shi Huang's vision. These finds remind us that this was not just a symbolic gesture. This was a meticulously planned military blueprint, recreated underground, as though the emperor truly believed he could march into the afterlife with his empire intact. But for all we've uncovered, mysteries remain. Why such detail in every single figure? Was it pure intimidation? A message to his enemies? Or perhaps a deeper spiritual belief that every soldier's individuality mattered in the afterlife? The truth is, despite half a century of study, we still don't know the full story. And maybe that's what keeps the Terracotta Army so fascinating. Every discovery answers one question, but leaves us with 10 more. So what do you think the true purpose of this clay army was? Was it an emperor's obsession with power, or was there something more symbolic? Something we're still struggling to grasp. How AI scanned the Terracotta Army in 2025. To understand just how shocking this breakthrough was, we need to start picturing the scenario. Imagine standing inside one of those excavation pits in Xi'an, surrounded by rows of silent clay warriors frozen in time. Come to think of it, it sounds like a historical marvel. a sight I'd love to see. For decades, archaeologists have carefully searched around the area, measuring, cataloguing, and preserving what they could. However, human hands and eyes have limitations, and they just couldn't reach the details that were buried beneath centuries of damage and dust. Until now, that is. With a digital toolkit ready to debug everything we believed we knew about these ancient soldiers, excavators recently turned to artificial intelligence. What actually occurred then? The scans began with ultra-precise 3D imaging devices developed by companies like Artec. These portable scanners captured every detail of a warrior's face, armor, and weapon using structured light and laser technology. We're talking accuracy down to fractions of a millimeter, which means nothing. No crack, no trace of pigment, no subtle groove escaped detection. Once the raw data was captured, AI took over. This wasn't just about stitching images together like a giant puzzle. The AI systems applied knowledge visualization, a form of deep learning that can detect hidden patterns in massive datasets. Think of it as giving the Terracotta army a full-body MRI and then asking a super-intelligent machine to interpret the results. Here's where it gets wild. In earlier decades, archaeologists had already tried digital preservation. Back in the 2000s and even into the 2010s, they used photogrammetry and early 3D scans to build rough digital replicas. Those were useful, sure, but they were limited. They showed us shapes, not stories. In 2025, AI changed that equation. Suddenly, the scans didn't just preserve, they interpreted the data. Algorithms compared thousands of warriors at once, spotting minute differences between their armor plates, hairstyles, and even facial bone structures. Patterns that no human could ever have noticed suddenly lit up on researchers' screens. One of the most jaw-dropping breakthroughs came from analyzing pigments. Most of us view the Terracotta army today as grey statues, stripped of color by centuries of exposure underground. However, the scans revealed faint chemical residues that were invisible to the naked eye. With hyperspectral imaging and AI reconstruction, researchers recreated flashes of the warriors' original paintwork, the reds, greens, and purples that once made them appear almost alive. Imagine walking into that pit over 2,000 years ago and seeing not a ghostly grey army, but a vibrant force, each soldier painted in striking colors, ready to march into eternity. And the surprises didn't stop there. The AI analysis identified additional inconsistencies in the clay composition. What did that mean? According to the experts, the warriors may have been produced in separate workshops, much like assembly lines, but with artisans leaving their unique signatures in the details. A fingerprint here, a subtle style difference there. It was like uncovering the identity of craftsmen who had remained anonymous for millennia. But here's the part that really stunned experts. The scans revealed microscopic wear on certain bronze weapons, indicating that some of them may have been used before burial. That raised new questions. Were these weapons repurposed from real military campaigns, or were they intentionally tested to prove their effectiveness before being entombed? The AI didn't just confirm history, it challenged it. Think about that for a second. For nearly 50 years, scholars believed the Terracotta army was a purely symbolic force, a clay illusion meant to guard the emperor in the afterlife. But now, AI is hinting at something deeper. It's a blending of ritual, artistry, and practical military preparation, which forces us to wonder, was the emperor's underground army more than just a metaphor? Could it have been a reflection of real regiments, mapped out and immortalized in clay? And that's what makes this so electrifying. Technology has peeled back layers of mystery, but with every answer comes a bigger question. What else could AI uncover if it keeps scanning? Could it reveal hidden inscriptions under the clay, or secret chambers still buried within the emperor's massive tomb complex? So, if scanning in 2025 could already prompt experts to rethink the story of the Terracotta army, what might happen next could be even more shocking. The shocking discoveries that left experts speechless. AI's scan did more than just rediscover statues. These discoveries unearthed disturbing secrets no one expected. What are these revelations? Picture this. The pits of Xi'an, silent for more than 2,000 years, suddenly illuminated not by archaeologists' torches, but by the probing eye of artificial intelligence. What AI uncovered went beyond artistry, beyond symbolism, straight into the darker undercurrents of the empire that created them. And when the first results appeared on the screen, seasoned historians who had studied these warriors throughout their careers reportedly sat in stunned silence. The first shock came from beneath the surface of Pit 2. AI processing stitched together underground anomalies that traditional excavation had missed. These weren't natural voids or random soil gaps. They were architectural patterns. Hidden chambers, rooms sealed so tightly that they remained undetected for decades. The scans showed corridors branching off from the main pit. It was as if the Emperor's grand project had extended far beyond the known soldiers. One scholar even described it as a city within a city. These discoveries are a chilling reminder that what we see above ground may only be the tip of the iceberg. Then came the inscriptions. For years, archaeologists remained puzzled by the faint markings etched into clay. Some dismissed them as workshop notes, while others regarded them as artisan signatures. But AI analysis decoded them with startling clarity. These weren't random scratches. They were records, instructions, names, even tallies of men and materials. The language suggested a strict hierarchy of production, almost like a military command structure baked into the clay itself. And here's the kicker. Some inscriptions referenced numbers that didn't add up with what's been excavated, which raises the haunting question: where are the missing figures? Are they still buried deeper? Or were they deliberately destroyed to erase a chapter of history the Emperor wanted hidden? Perhaps the most unsettling implication emerged from AI's analysis regarding the possibility of human sacrifice. By cross-referencing findings with ancient texts, AI suggested a connection to the harsh practices of Qin Shi Huang's reign. This raises questions. Were workers entombed to guard the warriors? Were sacrifices made to consecrate the site? While the evidence is inconclusive, the prospect remains troubling and underscores the complexity of the army's origins. In the middle of these dark discoveries, there were also breathtaking finds that redefined what we thought we knew. In one section, AI flagged anomalies in bone structure beneath the shattered clay. Excavation revealed a rare general figure, complete with distinct armor and posture unlike any soldier found before. This was an extraordinary find from what they are used to. This wasn't the rank and file, this was leadership immortalized. A general, standing taller, with his armor reinforced, holding what may have once been a commanding staff. Finding him was like discovering the lost playbook of the Emperor's military strategy, and experts believe he wasn't alone. AI has already hinted at several other figures of similar rank still waiting to be unearthed. Then came the chariot. Long thought to be symbolic or too fragile to survive, fragments were scanned and digitally reassembled into what appeared to be a full-scale war chariot buried among the warriors. This wasn't ceremonial. The wear patterns suggested it had been used in real campaigns before being buried. Imagine the story behind that, an actual vehicle of war pushed into eternal service underground. It's as if the Emperor wasn't satisfied with replicas. He wanted the real machinery of conquest preserved beside him. All of this forced a chilling reframe of the Terracotta army. For decades, the accepted view was that it was a symbolic guardian, a clay illusion of power meant to intimidate even in death. However, with AI peeling back the layers, we see something far more complex. This was not an illusion. This was memory. This was a record of real generals, real weapons, real sacrifices, all cast into clay and sealed underground. And so we have to ask, what does it mean that such an empire, one of the most powerful in human history, left behind not just art, but evidence of suffering and secrecy? Was this a warning, a flex of imperial control, or perhaps a desperate attempt to preserve history in the only way the Emperor trusted, through silence and burial? AI's revelations are rewriting textbooks, but they're also stirring imagination. If hidden rooms, rare generals, and signs of sacrifice can be uncovered in Xi'an, what other secrets are waiting in tombs across the world? Could AI someday read the walls of the Valley of the Kings without lifting a single stone? Could it find forgotten civilizations beneath deserts or jungles where human eyes cannot see? Because, as shocking as the Terracotta Army's story is, the truth may be that this is only the beginning. But the Terracotta Army's mysteries aren't limited to China. What about others around the world, also decoded by AI? Global Terracotta Armies and AI's archaeological revolution. The Cyprus Terracotta Army reveals how AI is changing archaeology worldwide, uncovering rituals, diplomacy, and secrets beyond China. Alright, so you've just wrapped your head around the fact that the Terracotta Army warriors, just scanned by AI, and experts are left speechless. Uncovered generals, hidden rooms, and whispers of sacrifice in China. But here's the curveball. China isn't the only place with armies of clay staring at us from the past. Half a world away, on the island of Cyprus, another army lay waiting. Not nearly as massive as the one guarding Qin Shi Huang, but still rows of terracotta figures buried in silence for centuries. For decades, archaeologists thought they were ceremonial, maybe just local artistry. But when AI got involved, the entire narrative shifted. Imagine a cluster of life-sized warriors unearthed in the sanctuary of Agia Irene. 200 figures standing shoulder to shoulder, some holding shields, others brandishing weapons, arranged in what looked less like decoration and more like a ritual procession frozen in time. Traditional archaeology catalogued them, studied the clay, and wrote them off as localized devotion to a war god. But when AI rescanned the statues, comparing their features to databases across the Mediterranean, the results were jaw-dropping. Patterns in the design weren't Cypriot alone. They carried imprints of Greek craftsmanship, Near Eastern influence, and even stylistic traces linking them to Egypt. The eye wasn't just spotting cracks and shapes, it was building a web of connections across thousands of miles. Suddenly, these terracotta warriors weren't provincial idols at all. They were evidence of a pan-Mediterranean cult, a shared ritual that suggested Cyprus was not a cultural backwater, but a major hub in the spiritual and political life of the region. And that changes everything. Because if you think about it, these weren't just statues for worship, they were statements of identity, diplomatic gifts, maybe even offerings meant to solidify Cyprus's place in a larger network of alliances. AI analysis suggested that the clay sources used for some figures didn't even come from Cyprus. They came from abroad. This means that people weren't just trading goods, they were also trading sacred traditions. That revelation left historians stunned. For centuries, the story of Cyprus was portrayed as a small island reacting to the larger empires. But now, thanks to AI, we see it as a player in the game, shaping rituals that connected kingdoms and cultures in ways textbooks never admitted. One archaeologist even admitted that without AI's pattern recognition, the cult's international dimension might have remained invisible forever. And here's where it gets exciting for us watching this unfold. If AI can decode secrets like this in Cyprus, what about the countless other sites where clay soldiers, figurines, or even broken fragments sit in museum drawers? What about the forgotten terracotta horses in Greece, or the miniature votive armies buried in Italy? Could they, too, tell stories of cultural exchange, sacrifice, or politics we've completely missed? The bigger picture is this. AI isn't just scanning objects. It's rewriting history. It's pulling together threads from China to Cyprus, connecting dots that humans alone would never be able to piece together. And in doing so, it's showing us that terracotta armies, whether massive like Xi'an or modest like Agia Irene, weren't simply for the afterlife. They were part of living diplomacy, part of cult rituals, part of a shared human obsession with leaving behind clay echoes of power. So now we have to ask, what's next? If Cyprus can reveal secrets of Mediterranean ritual networks, what could AI uncover in South America, in sub-Saharan Africa, in places where colonial archaeology barely scratched the surface? Imagine forgotten temples or burial grounds suddenly springing to life on an AI dashboard, showing us not just artifacts, but stories of people who once thought they were invisible to time. Because the truth is, these armies of clay aren't just relics, they're messages from the past, And with AI as a translator, we're finally learning how to read them. But what if AI's revelations go beyond archaeology? What does it tell us about human stories encoded for millennia? The new narrative. What if AI is more than a tool? What if it's a modern oracle revealing ancient human stories of power and sacrifice that have been encoded for thousands of years? When the Terracotta army warriors, just scanned by AI and experts, are left speechless, it wasn't just about mapping statues or chambers. It was about giving voice to a civilization's fears and ambitions. The cracks in the clay, the inscriptions on buried tiles, even the positioning of soldiers became readable in a way humans alone could never decode. AI saw not just soldiers, but authority crystallized in clay, sacrifice encoded in silence, ambition immortalized underground. Suddenly, this wasn't archaeology. It was a dialogue with the dead. And the revelations remind us that every chamber, every artifact, carries within it a human drama, fear of mortality, a hunger for power, and a hope for legacy. AI, in its strange new sight, makes those emotions visible again. From clay warriors to cutting-edge algorithms, we have explored how AI reshapes archaeology, making it vibrant. History emerges not just as scattered fragments, but as a narrative unfolding before us. If you are interested in these advancements, we welcome your comments and reflections below.